Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Particularly, today we're doing another of the complete story guide series. So if you haven't watched these videos, because I haven't done them in a while, basically, I have done Wizard City through Zafaria in regards to the complete story of Wizard101. I've described not only the past of each of the worlds, but what we do during the worlds, and stuff like that, basically. I draw connections with real world and real world lore, because I've always found that to be really interesting. I haven't done this in a while, just because I haven't worked up the motivation, but here I am with one of my favorite worlds of all time, which is Avalon. So, if you haven't watched one of these before, I would recommend you go do it for the past worlds, but if you only want to know Avalon, that's fine as well. I end up starting with kind of the lore and history of the world. So, if you didn't know, Avalon is where Merle Ambrose comes from. It's a world of knights, kings, warriors, and they're warring against what are called the Fraudlings, but we're going to get into that. So let's go to the story. We know the story from Avalon because there are these tapestries scattered throughout that depict the history of Avalon. So starting with the first one, the great wizard and trickster Merle Ambrose helped a young warrior prove himself and rise to rule over the lands. Artorias was raised in humble surroundings, but he had royal blood in his veins. That right there is a direct mirror to King Arthur. If you've never read King Arthur was this average boy, and the wizard, Merlin, ended up finding him, sensing the potential in the boy, and then raised him to be king. Which, obviously, he becomes king of, Avalon, which is this sacred place that, King Arthur ruled over. So, that's the first of the things. The brave and noble Artorias was destined to draw the Sword of Kings and become the greatest warrior in Avalon. This directly mirrors him drawing Excalibur and, raising to become king, because only someone worthy to be king could pull the sword, which is exactly what the Sword of Kings is, and King Artorias was able to do that. Artorias used the Sword of Kings to exemplify his knightly virtues. He was unbeatable in battle, but he was also merciful and just. He always gave his foes a chance to turn from the shadow to join his cause. That obviously shows that Artorias isn't just a powerful dude. He's also a just and rather good person inherently, which makes his story all the more tragic. Merle Ambrose guided Artorias to his role as King of Avalon, and the two of them crafted the Knightly Order of the Silver Rose, which is based on the Knights of the Round Table, which there is literally the Knights of the Round Table in Avalon that mirrors that. King Artorias met a young woman, Gwendolyn, and fell in love. King Artorias married Gwendolyn and made her Queen of Avalon. Together, they ruled over a golden age of peace and prosperity. That mirrors literally Gwendolyn. Except I don't believe in this. There's a, what's his name? Is it Camelot? Who Gwendolyn kind of not falls for, but gets seduced by. That's a different story, because that's not in this. But either way, despite King Artorias' attempts to promote his chivalric values, not all could live up to his ideals. Jealous of what King Artorias and Queen Gwendolyn had built, Sir Mallory of Dundara worked to undo their good work in Avalon. Now, this isn't particularly exactly correct, but in my opinion, Sir Mallory is based on Mordred in the story. If you know about King Arthur, Mordred, I believe, was... whose son was he? Was he the son of King Arthur? I don't know. Yeah, he could have been Arthur's son, I think. But yeah, okay. He was. Mordred would turn around and try to kill King Arthur because he was jealous and wanted to rule. I believe that Sir Mallory could be based on that, but maybe not. It's, you know, kind of blurry. But next, Sir Mallory found dark allies in the ink-black depths of the Weirwood. He led the Froudlings against King Artorius. The Froudlings are little not elves, goblin things you see. They're a bit angry and tend to ruin everything. King Artorius vanquished the Froudlings and killed Sir Mallory, but not before the false knight mortally wounded the great king. Mordred, if you didn't know, actually sparked the death of King Arthur. King Arthur, it's literally a piece called The Death of King Arthur. He was too wounded in battle, and I believe he was put in a river, and was taken away to, I don't know, was Avalon, something like that. But I only know the basics of King Arthur legend. But following that, Merle Ambrose gave the Swords of Kings to Squire Perry to hold and protect, a new beginning for the Knights of the Silver Rose. Merle Ambrose and his ally Gamma left Avalon to explore the Spiral. It was the next age in Avalon. Now, obviously, that's where Ravenwood comes from. Merle Ambrose left, explored the Spiral, and he founded Ravenwood, the School of Magic. King Artorius prepared to cross to the other side, knowing Avalon was left in good hands. Unbeknownst to the good people of Avalon, a shadow crept into the Delioris Tower to fall over King Artorius. Morganth, who's obviously the main villain of this arc, Dark Sister to Sir Mallory, offered Artorius a way to stave off the cold mist of the other side. Artorius took up her offer, not realizing the gift was trapped. He accepted the Horn Crown, a sinister artifact from the Weird. Artorius shed his skin and virtues and rose as the dreaded Pendragon. The evil Pendragon led the wild hunt out of the Weirwood at the head of the Froudling army. They burned and conquered all. But hope still remains in the secret places of Avalon. One day, a hero will rise and the Silver Rose will bloom once more. So, that's all I have for past lore. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack there with what happened. Morganth tricked Arthur into accepting the Horned Crown, which he thought would heal him and save him, but actually turned him into the Pendragon, which, if you didn't know, Pendragon was a real person in King Arthur, real thing in King Arthur, who was evil. Uther Pendragon, also known as King Uther. He's the father of King Arthur, but basically, yeah, he's an evil dude. I'm pretty sure, but at least in this, he's an evil dude, and King Arthur becomes him and leads the battle against his own world, which is rather tragic if you think about it. So I've spent about 8 minutes now going over the past of Avalon. Now it's time to talk about the actual quests themselves, because that's the next part of it, where I talk about why we're here, what we do in each street, and what's happening. So we get a summons from Merle Ambrose after Zafaria. We just bested we didn't best Morganth herself, but we bested her forces in Mirror Lake, and here we are. We're in Avalon. He tells us specifically, you need to seek out the Sword of Kings because it's probably the only way to beat Morganth. It's a legendary and powerful weapon. And on top of that, Avalon is in a serious case of trouble right now. And Merle really, really wants to save Avalon because it's obviously his homeworld. It's where he was raised, it's where he was born, and it's what he wants to protect. So he sends you to Avalon to help possibly King Arthur, help get rid of the Pendragon, and so on and so forth. So you show up, and immediately you see Sir Pike Delago here, who is poisoned and in a lot of pain. You have to go into High Road, which has a Froudling infestation, as most streets do in this world, and talk to Fiona Yellowknife, who will help you heal him. After you heal him, do all of her quests, there's a lot of quests there, you go back and you go to him, he's healed, and you tell him that Merle sent you to find a dude, a squire, who was part of the Knights of the Silver Rose, and you need to find the Sword of Kings. he says, okay, he's in Abbey Road. You go to Abbey Road, you do all that, and you learn to successfully wield the Sword of Kings. You need to become a knight of the Silver Rose. You need to join the Knights of the Round Table by going to each of the shrines and actually successfully like praying at the shrines and gaining their qualities, which is really important to do in regards to this. As you can see, you get you first become a squire, armiger, knight errant, knight of the weird, and then finally a knight of the Silver Rose. So you have to do that. The actual first shrine is in Caerleon, which is how you become a squire, I believe. And the entire premise is really you fighting the evils of Avalon while growing and becoming better in regards to these shrines. My knowledge on the actual story itself is actually quite not limited, but it's less than I would like it to be. I really need to listen to the dialogue again. I don't really believe there's too much, honestly, realistically, there isn't too much important information except for why we go where we go. So we go to Caerleon specifically to pray at that shrine I was talking about, but to pray at the shrine we need to repair it, I believe, and to repair it we need the permission of the dude in here. The dude in here is annoying because he wants to marry the daughter of old Greenbeard over here, who's a giant monster of a man. Look at him. He's a legend right here. And you go to old Greenbeard and he's like, sure, you can marry my daughter. And you go, and he's like, okay, when's the wedding? And then you go back to him and he says, yeah, old Greenbeard's not invited to the wedding. And that pisses off old Greenbeard, who then, you know, throws kind of, you know, a very justified rage. We battle some things, and then we finally convince this guy, yes, he can come to the wedding. And we go over here to do that. The reason why we wanted to go into to do all that was because he would not let us into the wild unless we did that, and the wild is kind of where we needed to go for a mixture of reasons. One, we're trying to get to Dundara, the weird in Dundara, which is important, and also the wild is where we can, you know, we can help the people of the wild, which are in a lot of pains, and find the fairies in the Weirwood, which is pretty important to kind of know more about what's going on. So we do all that. We save them, beat the Winter Worm, beat Kiva White Talon over here, Maudit Solomon, all of them, and we heal the Fire Elf village over here, cure them of the ice thing that happens, and the leprechauns are fine and dandy. And then we finally get this bridge to come over here to the Weird. The Weird is haunted by tormented spirits and broken, you know, specters, stuff like that. They're kind of, you know, a bit dark and sad. But I believe the entire reason why we're coming through these, coming here and going to Dundara, is because we need to find Queen Gwendolyn to restore the Knights of the Round Table. So the Knights of the Silver Rose, I mean, to best the Froudlings and restore King Arthur and beat the Pendragon. So that's why we're here. We come here from you know, what's it called, sorry, the wild, and we beat some of these specters and whatnot. We continue moving on, and eventually we have to go past this an Etten over here, who's kind of, you know, a bit angry and violent, but we successfully, you know, get past him and everything, and we come over here to Brigid, who helps us on our quest by telling us that we need to go to the Tower of the Nameless Knight over here. The Nameless Knight, if you didn't know, is Sir Mallory, and Sir Mallory regrets what he's done in the past because he believes that he should have helped King Arthur, and he regrets what he did. So he's going to help us find Gwendolyn, who is in Dundara, and, you know, just generally help us with our quest. To get to Dundara, though, we need to actually beat the Indigo Giant over here, who is holding hostage quite a few of the men of the Weird, and he is a real evil dude, keeping them in cages, I believe. And we also need to become a Knight of the Weird over here, which also helps us on our quest. I'm trying to figure out how to get to Dundara, but I actually do not know for the life of me. Is it over here? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just lost and confused. I don't know where Dundara is. Do you go over here? Oh, okay, you go over here. You can see, you free Duran here. Duran, yes. And you go to Dundara. At Dundara, it's probably one of the most of the impactful streets, because here is where you meet Gwendolyn, who was the queen of Avalon. You help Gwendolyn regain some hope and regain her armor and her weapons to fight against the evil Fraudlings, and you successfully, you know, convince her to fight again for the cause, and you tell her to go to Abbey Road in Avalon, in Caliburn, to restore the Knights of the Silver Rose and whatnot. So you finally come over here, you're done with that section of the streets, and she's like, okay, to restore the Knights of the Silver Rose, we need a table, because, you know, a table is very important. So we go over here, we go to the Bane Worm over here, and we beat him up and take the table that he stole from the Knights of the Silver Rose. And we need to restore this table, which we do through some smiths over here and whatnot. And then we finally can call the Knights of the Silver Rose, which you can see here. Just remove King Artorias from the picture. He does not exist currently. But you can see we have Gwendolyn, Sir Robin Bravely, Sir Guy Gascoigne, Sir Perry Gilliam, Sir Pike de Lago, Sir Justin Silverheart, the Black Knight, Sir John Paul Jouster, and Sir Brennan One Hand. Basically, all the Knights of the Silver Rose. To get these guys, we actually need to go and convince them one by one that they should join our cause, which we do. And they're all like, hell yeah, I'll join the Knights of the Silver Rose again. We must save Avalon. So we get them all together. They're all like ready to save Avalon. And they say, you need to actually go beat the Pendragon, which is in the Keep of Gainlon, which is where King Artorias' castle was and used to be. And, you know, to actually get into the Keep of Gainlon, we need to learn about the past of Avalon, learn what became of King Artorias, and possibly save him if possible. So, because they don't actually know that King Artorias is Pendragon, that's the gist of it. So we go to the outer yard, and we see that there's a lot happening. Our goal is to go to Ghost Avalon, which is the kind of past memory of Avalon that exists in, you know, where we are. And to get there, we need to go deep underground and whatnot. And we also need to find the Lady of the Lake, who is also very important in Avalonian culture. So we come to the outer yard, and we beat some of his generals. We bomb a house, which is pretty cool. Yeah, you can see it over here. It's on fire. Commit some terrorism. That's fine. We're good at that. It's more like arson than terrorism, but, you know, it happens. And then we're sent to the lake shore right here, because we need to find the Lady of the Lake and kind of help the area. Here's the Dolores Tower. You can see. And the Lady of the Lake's over there. And from here, we need to help this guy over here with the stags and whatnot. We find a friar, I believe, up here. Oh, Friar Occam here. We find another friar. Oh, I didn't want to get in battle with these guys. That's fine. I'll just keep talking. We need to clear out the area so that we can get to the Lady of the Lake. Because the Lady of the Lake, you can't actually get to her unless you help the people of the area and then beat up the witch that's in the witch's hut over there. So obviously, you need to do that. You can see the witch is in that witch's hut over there. So you need to do that. You clear it out. You finally raise the path to get over the witch. You beat the witch. And then you go over and talk to the Lady of the Lake, who says, yes, you are the hero of Avalon. You will save us and our people by drawing the Sword of Kings and healing King Arthur. And we're like, oh, okay. And she's like, okay, you need to actually go to something called the Deep Water, because that is the main way to get to, what's it called? To get to the catacombs, which is where King Arthur is, and then go further on. So we go to the Lady Lake. She's like, okay, to actually get to the catacombs, you need to collect the 4 portal pieces from these bosses underneath. We collect those and we restore the portal to the catacombs. Now we're here in the catacombs, and King Arthur is buried in that room over there. We go and we talk to like the Lady Lake and whatnot, and she's like, okay, get the key. We need to see what happened to King Arthur and see what happened, you know, just where, if he's still okay, see what happened to the Sword of Kings. And we go in and we find that King Arthur is not there. The entire room is sacked, and she's like, oh, that's bad. So we need to find out what exactly happened and continue on to save Avalon. So we go through the catacombs and we need to get to the crystal caves. So we fight our way through. We find that there's a guy locked in a dungeon down here. So we need to defeat this hobgoblin blood captain to get the key and free him. He tells us, yeah, everything's bad down here. Crystal caves, you need to go. And we're like, okay, we'll go do that. Lady Lake is also like, yeah. So we go down to the crystal caves, which is kind of tormented by a bunch of spirits and whatnot, and we need to get into Ghost Avalon disguised as Gamma, so that we can find out exactly what happened. You can see Sir Patrick is down here. That's who I was talking about that we saved earlier. And we come down here to the crystal caves. The crystal caves are really important because it shows the past of Avalon. There's also the skeleton key room here, which is pretty cool. But we need to find out what happened to King Arthur exactly, so we can kind of tell where he is, what became of him, and what's happened. So we come down here. You can see there's some dragons over here, which is interesting. And there it is, Ghost Avalon, and also these statues of the Night Garden. We kind of learn about their past. You can see there's Gwendolyn, Merlambros, Morganth, and King Artorias. And we come through. We disguise ourselves as Gamma, and we enter Ghost Avalon. What we find in Ghost Avalon is the actual story of how King Arthur fell. Or, sorry, King Artorias. I keep saying King Arthur. That's just not correct. We find that Morganth, who was the student of Merle Ambrose, has turned traitor, and she plans on overthrowing King Artorias and herself ruling Avalon, because to her, power is above everything, and being queen would be power above all. So she plants the seed in her brother's mind, of who is Sir Mallory, to go against the king and poison him with the horned crown, overthrow him, and then her herself become queen. The plan works extremely well. Artorias gets the horned crown placed on him, which we find will bring out his darkest inner not desires, but the opposite of what he is, almost the embodiment of darkness instead of the embodiment of light. And he is transformed into the monstrous Pendragon, and then leads the Foundlings, and that catches us up to where we are in the end of Avalon, and that is that we need to beat Pendragon and save King Arthur, because Arthur has become the Pendragon. He's become the very thing he's sworn to destroy. Yeah, so we find out that we need to now go to the Keep of Gainlon, beat the Pendragon, and save King Arthur from his torment. So that's exactly what we do. We leave Ghost Avalon, we report to Gwendolyn, and she learns of what became of King Artorias, and she's like, oh no, we can do this. The Sword of Kings is also in the Keep of Gainlon, which is pretty important because we need the Sword of Kings to not only beat Pendragon, but to beat Morganth, theoretically. I've gone over in the past why I don't like the Sword of Kings, but whatever. We need to beat Pendragon over here in the Keep of Gainlon. So we do. We go through, we beat up his forces, and then we finally beat Pendragon himself. And from the ashes of the Pendragon rises King Artorias, who is very confused and in a lot of pain. And we tell him what happened, and he's like, oh, this is really bad. You need to beat these dragons behind this door. And we're like, okay. We beat them. And then guess what? Avalon is saved. You have the Sword of Kings, which is why you came here. You needed the Sword of Kings to beat Morganth. You have saved the world from the Pendragon. With the Pendragon defeated, his forces are scattered, confused, and lost, and can no longer, in an organized way, attack Avalon. The Knights of the Silver Rose are restored, and King Artorias is there to regain order and save Avalon. We've done our work. We're good. He sends us back to Merle Ambrose with his regards, and that's what we do. We're done here. We go back to Merle Ambrose. Merle Ambrose is ecstatic that you managed to save his homeworld, and he says, good job, young wizard. I'll see you soon. And that's it. That's it for Avalon. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like at the sub button. Again, I do appreciate hitting 1,000 subs. I'm at like 1,020 now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's it. I did really enjoy making this. I definitely plan on making a Azteca one. The problem is I do need to do research for all of these because I don't really remember the story of a lot of these worlds because I didn't pay attention to them. I remember the stories of Marleybone and Mushu like the back of my hand, but these ones I don't really remember all that much. So I'll definitely research that, and I'll do it in the future. I'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Thank you all for watching.